We're going to change the rear struts using the factory springs in our 1981 280ZX here. It's gotten a little bit soft, so we have some brand new struts to put in there. Before we even jack up the car, we're just going to go ahead and take off one of the strut tower covers. We're going to start with the driver's side, and we'll just do that in the video today. We'll just take this cover, rotate it counterclockwise, pull it right off there, and you can see the bolts that hold the strut in place. So keep in mind, we just loosened it about 3 turns. We're not removing that yet. Now that it's loosened, we're going to go ahead and jack up this part of the car, the rear, and put it up on jack stands. And then we'll remove the wheel and continue from there. We're going to go ahead and remove these 3 bolts at the top of the shock tower. I'm leaving these 3 bolts very slightly threaded at the top so that when I knock the strut off of the suspension arm on the bottom, the whole thing won't just fall down. It'll just drop and still be supported by those 3 nuts. Underneath the car, you will need to undo this 1 bolt. That's the only bolt that is holding the strut assembly in place from underneath. So I can just tap on this with a rubber mallet and move it off of the strut, and we'll get it off that way. So now that it's free, it's just suspended by those 3 bolts at the top, and we'll just undo those while we support this or have somebody hold that for us, and we'll be able to pull it out. So I was very easily, by the way, able to get that strut tower out without even removing the brake calipers, so you can just leave the calipers on. We've got the coils degreased and cleaned up and have these strut spring compressors on there, and we're just going to compress that spring enough so that we can undo the top hat. So you want to get these springs compressed enough that you can move this top part around here by hand. Alright, I'm going to use some vice grips to hold this shaft in place while we undo the nut at the top. Otherwise the shaft is just going to keep spinning inside. Alright, we got that top hat off using some channel grip pliers to hold onto that middle shaft, and then we can just pull this coil off, and we're going to put this coil on the new strut. I took the spring compressor off so that I could get this new strut in here. The dust cover was not able to clear the hooks on the spring compressor, so now that it's on, we'll recompress the spring. The factory springs are now installed on the new struts. The top hat was put back on, so we're ready to just put this back in the car, and we'll just torque down all the nuts to spec, and we should be done. The 3 bolts on top are now torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. The bolt at the end of the strut is torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. And now we just need to put the strut tower cover back on and put the wheel back on, and we're done with this side.